Thank you for coming to our town all the way from Lansing, Greg and Lois, and they have Greg's sister, Sue, who is here with them, so make the whole family feel welcome, everybody. And the next song is about Sister Sue. In fact, that's what it's called, Sister Sue.
This is Sister Sue, and she is the star of tonight's show. You're the cool, quirky person.
In a good way.
You're quirky in a good way.
In a good way, yes,
so that's,
right. Yeah.
That's
Quirkalicious.
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 All
right, okay.
Okay. And then our dad was the fountainhead for, all our lives growing up. He was a jazz fanatic.
Well, he was in a dream state with jazz. He would sit
Benny
back.
Goodman. He listened to. He saw all the big bands. Yeah.
He was into the good stuff, the Errol Garners and.
Oh yeah, right.
He was he studied he actually studied these great players. He didn't play it all.
No.
But he studied all the great players, and that was the soundtrack of our living room. We're surrounded by
Did you say when you were little, you were like in a crib or something, and they weren't like party people, but they had a bunch of people. They had a conga line going through the house.
There's a conga line going through the hallway outside my little kid in the car. The whole house is shaking.
Right.
So they partied a little bit when they were young, but
right.
We were just the soundtrack was jazz, and it was jazz piano, and it was constant. It was always Ahmad Jamal.
Right.
At the Pershing, that was sort of the theme of the household, really.
Right,
just,
yeah.
And everything that Ramsey Lewis ever did.
Yep.
And he just studied all the great pianists. Those are his heroes. His obituary read, "Picture me laying in my easy chair listening to a jazz trio, a piano trio." So that sums up that's our immersion in jazz. We grew up in a jazz soup, sort of.
Right, exactly.
So you say your girlfriends thought I was a cool guy in high school. What's the deal with that? I never knew that.
You were the cool older brother, yeah. You didn't know that?
What was cool about me? I was just any other kid.
Who sits around in their basement playing bongos and claves and having a beatnik session when you're 14? That you were 14 when you did that.
Well, it was sort of a social trend, but we played it up. We had the bongos, the claves, we had the candles.
Right.
And we had the cool clothes
and the poetry.
And it didn't matter what the poetry was.
Right,
it just so it was poetry. And then the bongos were the main story because I got them. They're mail order bongos. Mm-hmm. And back then the mailbox was down at the end of the street, and I'd go down to the end of the street every day waiting for the bongos to show up.
Right.
And they never showed up. So it was like days and weeks.
Why
I think it was I don't know. It's just because I wanted them so much. That's why.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So, then the bongo showed up, and the party started. I was like, okay, I had the beret.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I forgot.
I had the beret, and I had the argyle socks. That's right, folks.
I have a picture of you.
I had the argyle socks and the.
Yep.
So I was the Dizzy Gillespie of 14-year-olds back then. So.
Right.
So it was all play acting, but we had fun. We had actually identified with the music, so it was like.
And then you played sax and clarinet in high school and started teaching yourself piano. I was taking piano lessons, like going by the book, and you were coming up with all this really cool stuff just way back then.
Well, when I was this tall, I'd literally go to our grandparents' house and I'd be reaching up there like this and trying to tap out some melodies. So
right, yeah. That's the piano we had in our home.
I had a few lessons on clarinet, but outside of that, I'm pretty much self-taught. Same thing with piano. It's like I had a few lessons, but it's mostly autodidactic, I think is the right word. And that's worked out for me as a composer, not as a player. So now with COVID hit, I've been working on my playing a little more because I have the time to do it, and it's
I can't believe you're like the secret squirrel, like you squirreled away 30 years worth of writing and composing, nobody even know you were doing that. It was awesome.
Well, I had a passion for it, and I had the drive and the desire to really learn a lot of stuff. So
Right.
when I decided to start writing, I went to Marshall Music in Lansing, and I grabbed an armful of composition books and jazz theory, and I just digested everything I could get my hands on, and I just sit at the piano and basically let my imagination go to work, you know.
Right.
So it was not strenuous at all because I was highly motivated to produce something different, something cool, something original, something quirky, which brings us to Sister Sue, which the tune was written for. I just made the crunchiest chords I could find that worked.
Right.
I'm not trying to show off. I wanted something that worked.
Right.
And it worked, especially with Paul's magic. It turned into really good big band arrangements. So so you add some super talented arranger musicians to what you're doing, and then you wind up with something.
Right.
So what did you think of the song tonight? What did you think of?
Oh yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Really good.
So you still playing? She was an excellent classical pianist back in high school.
I did for a while, and then now I'm rusty. But Angela wanted to poach everything that I could still play.
Well, tell them who Angela is.
Oh, Angela's my grandson. Everything I'd play on the piano, he'd go, "How do you play that?" And then he'd learn the whole thing. Then he'd go to school and start playing it, and then a crowd of people would gather around because they were usually kind of jazzy, you know. Type.
And then you have Melody.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Who was in college and studying music.
Yeah.
Who says that Greg was a big influence on her.
Oh, you guys were a huge influence on my grandsons. They're both sax players, and Angela also plays piano.
Yeah. It runs in your blood, both of you.
Yep.
Well, we used to come to the Summer Solstice Jazz Festival thanks to you guys. You always invited us, included us. They were pretty young at that time, so and then the Detroit Jazz Festival. They've soaked it up.
Yeah. I think it's a mutual admiration society. You thought he was the cool big brother, and I think he views you as the solid rock who just has been supporting him all along in whatever he's done.
Well, you are Sister Sue, so you deserve your night, you deserve your moment. So I'm glad I wrote that song for you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
And I love you. We're going in for the hug.